Hello, I'm Kendra Von Esch, and you are listening to my 10-minute daily podcast, Reality Reflections. I bought into what this world said would make me happy. Money, prestige, power. And hey, if it feels good, do it, because life is stressful, so party hard. Do whatever makes you happy. But that didn't quite work out, because I felt even more insecure, full of fear, shame, and anxiety, and never, ever good enough. Then God found me and flipped my reality upside down and transformed my life. And I want this for everyone. So I left my executive career to help others find true acceptance, supernatural peace, joy, and love that only comes from a relationship with God. Here is my reality reflection for today. A little Bible study today, my friends, because the gospel I think many of us misinterpret. And this is why the Catholic Church, the church that gave us the New Testament, is an authority on defining and explaining the Bible. Because without one authority explaining what the words mean, what the parables mean, we have people that are going off and interpreting it any little old way they want, which is exactly why we have so many Christian denominations now. So many. We need to fall back on the authority of the church, capital T tradition, little t tradition. And that is why I really like usccb.org, United States Catholic Conference of Bishops.org, because there are links and explanations, and it helps to define what the Bible is saying. So let's read this quick little gospel, because again, I think we're all thinking one thing, and then we'll go and see what the Catholic Church actually has to say about it. All right, Matthew 11, 28 through 30. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light." Okay, I wanted to dive into this, so I clicked on the top, the link that takes me to Matthew. And then I go down to the verses today, and here is what the Catholic Church says about this particular gospel. These verses are peculiar to Matthew and are similar to Ben Sirach's invitation to learn wisdom and submit to her yoke. Ben Sirach, the book of Sirach, is not included in all the other Christian denominations. It's cut out. But yet here, we're being referred to the book of Sirach, which is a great book, by the way, and it is about teaching wisdom. So you could actually, I'm not going to go there, but you could actually click on Sirach 51, verse 23 and 26, and you will see in that book it talks about, well, you know what? I'm just going to go there. Let's do it. Let's take the ride, shall we? Okay, verse 23 says, "Come aside to me, you untutored, and take up lodging in the house of instruction." And then verse 26, "Take her yoke upon your neck, that your mind may receive her teaching. For she is close to those who seek her, and the one who is in earnest finds her." She, the her that they're speaking of, is wisdom, by the way, in case you're curious. So that's interesting. And then the next part says, "Who labor and are burdened." So it goes on to explain, burdened by the law as expounded by the scribes and Pharisees. So, not sure if you know, but there's 613 laws. And this was the whole point of Jesus, like, oh my gosh, you guys are getting lost in the laws and you're forgetting the love and the obedience to God and how we are supposed to live. And these poor people that are overwhelmed, like, I can't follow all 613 of these. So let's actually go to Matthew 23:4, which is referenced in this explanation. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to carry, and they lay them upon people's shoulders, but they will not lift a finger to move them. Bottom line, the scribes and the Pharisees are doing this on purpose, and they're not helping anyone. They're just basically saying the minute you fall and you sin, you are unclean, and they don't want to have anything to do with you. So hence the whole reference to the law expounded by the scribes and Pharisees. And then the very last explanation in 11:29 in Matthew. In place of the yoke of the law, complicated by scribal interpretation, Jesus invites the burden to take the yoke of obedience to his word, under which they will find rest. And then it references Jeremiah 6:16. So let's check that out. Thus says the Lord, stand by the earliest roads. Ask the pathways of old. Which is the good way to good? Which is the way to good? And walk it. Thus you will find rest for yourselves. But they said, we will not walk it. Okay. Let's go back and really look at what this is supposed to mean versus us being so tired in the walk of life with all of the responsibilities and tasks that we have on our shoulder. We just need some rest and we run to Jesus. I still believe that's true. I may not tie it to this particular gospel, but I do find my rest. I find my energy, my batteries recharged, my spirit reignited when I'm in prayer and I'm in silence, especially in the madness of everything that I have going on. It is a place, like a little oasis. However, what they're really trying to say is that don't worry about those 613 laws. The scribes and the Pharisees have expounded and expounded and expounded upon it, so much so that nobody can live by those rules. And if you take on my yoke, meaning if you follow Jesus and his commandments, his yoke will be easy and his burden light. So that means that we will be able to live free, lighter lives if we follow the obedience of Jesus. We do what Jesus tells us to do. It's kind of like that freedom from sin. Because if you think about how often you would sin or repeat that same sin, and maybe you're in this situation right now, when we sin, we have all this other stuff laid upon our shoulders. We've got to go to confession now. We need to be repentant. We need to not do that again. Of course, we need to call out for God's grace to help us be virtuous people, that we seek virtue and not vice. But that is where freedom and the lightness and it is taken off of our shoulders, just the burden of when we don't live according to Jesus and when we don't follow and do what he tells us to do, there's a lot of stuff on our shoulders. We have a weight and it's no fun. However, when we do follow the obedience of God and we do follow Jesus's law, which is contrary, right, to the 613. It's boiled down to the two greatest commandments, keeping God the center of your life and worshiping him every day, giving him your time. But also, number 2, loving ourselves and loving our neighbor. Quite different than an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and to hate your enemies. But when we do it, we have such a light life. You don't have the guilt and the shame, and you're fully loving people. You have the grace of God pouring through you. The light of Jesus is coming out of you to people around you and into this dark world. That's where true freedom is. That is where true rest is. Very interesting how that gospel is just tweaked a little bit based on what many people think, myself included, that when my life is crazy and I've got a lot going on and a lot on my plate, that God will give me rest if I stop and I sit with him, which I truly believe is the case. But that's not the intent of this gospel. It really goes back to forget the 613 crazy laws that those scribes and Pharisees expounded upon. Just follow me. Follow my rules and be obedient to me. And you'll be free from all of that guilt, that shame, that burden, that heavy, heavy yoke that back then nobody helped to have you carry with them, right? They just said, sorry, we're not helping you. We're just telling you what you shouldn't do. So let's just take this as a reminder. It's God's ways, not ours. And if we do follow those commandments, and we can boil them down to the two greatest, we will be free. We will be light, and we will have an easy life, And I want that for all of us. So let's examine our lives, see where we need to improve. How can we better follow Jesus and be obedient to him and what he tells us? And therefore, pay attention to how much better our lives are when we walk the walk with God. All righty, everyone. I have to tell you that I will not be doing a podcast tomorrow. I'm going to be going out of town to visit some friends. So I would like to wish you all a beautiful weekend. I hope that it is filled with God. It is filled with love and family and friends, and that you thoroughly enjoy the next couple of days. And I will speak to you on Monday. I love you all. Find something more with Jesus and Mary. And have a blessed and inspired day.